Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team, where we give you our real take on today's housing market and everything to do with real estate. I'm your host, Maddie Maloney, joined by my co-hosts,
Joe Sambert
and Sam Feda.
So today we get to go over something that we really love talking about lately, and it's only been kind of coming up in the past couple of years, and you may have heard us mention it in a couple different podcasts, but today we're going to be going over Florida and the Florida market. So you can land pretty much anywhere, but we really like to focus on, of course, Michigan, because we are based in Michigan. But in the past couple of years, we have found a need from our clients for Florida real estate and helping them attain their homeownership goals in Florida as well. So, Joe, I wanted to start with you. So why Florida? Why have we chosen this state to really be our other primary state that we focus in?
That's a great question, Maddie, and one we get quite a bit. So historically speaking, you know, we've been together over 20 years in 17 years as a Joseph team. And over the time being in Michigan, we have had several customers, quite a few customers who decided, followed 75 all the way down and ended up in the Sarasota, Tampa, Venice area and in Florida in general, more specifically in that area. And you know, it was kind of once a quarter, we'd have a customer that, you know, was going to retire or they thought it was time to buy that second home. And we would help them just like we helped anyone else. And so that was kind of consistent for a long time. And then COVID occurred.
Yep.
And when COVID occurred, it really opened everyone's mindset up, you know, in regards to second homes, not just here in Michigan and in Florida. And people started saying, you know, I really want another place. I want another place for my family to go to, for us to vacation there. And we noticed a huge uptick in transactions in upper Michigan and in particular in Florida. And so we started doing several of these transactions. And from our perspective, we always want to know the market we serve. We don't like being outside of our knowledge. We don't think it gives good customer service. We want to be educated about the market, the areas in that market, things to look out for, things to be careful about. You know, for example, condos in Florida would be something to have a lot of knowledge about and be careful about. And so we really embraced that. It kind of clicked that, you know, this is an important market for our customers. That means it's important for us. So it's not us just taking a dart and throwing it on the map saying, hey, we like it here. Sarasota is a beautiful place. The weather is wonderful. Everything about Florida is wonderful. But we didn't just pick that out of a hat and say, hey, that's a good market, or look at a magazine and say, hey, this is one of the top 10 markets in the country, which it is, by the way, where people are moving all over the country to Florida and that market in particular. But it's where our customers are. And that means that's where we need to be to help service our customers, because we do think we bring the best service and product. So we want to make sure we're able to meet those things. So we've really embraced that. And we've built a lot of great relationships with one of the larger builder partners there, with a lot of the top agents, referral realtor partners there. And that growth market there is really incredible. So some great opportunities for our customers here to have some exposure to their real estate portfolio there as well. And a lot of times it's logical for whether it's a place to vacation or a place to retire to, transitioning between Michigan and Florida, going back and forth. It goes both ways. And our core business is here, but that's a big part of our business and is becoming a part of our core as well. So that's why Florida, and that's why that area in particular is important.
Definitely. And especially since COVID, you know, with more people learning that they can work remotely, they can work from online. Why work in one of the coldest areas or one of the cloudiest areas when you can go to the Sunshine State and keep your same job and be able to work from there, maybe even if it is just 6 months out of the year or your second home. But, you know, having that option available, and so many people are seeing that, you know, it is attainable. You can do this. And then we're here to help show you that it is affordable too. And we have the loan products, we have the knowledge to be able to help you make this transition, because lots of times when people are, they have their primary residence in Michigan and they're looking to move to Florida, that creates a lot of anxiety because there's so many more questions that come up with that. Like, they don't live in Florida. How are they supposed to go through the showings? How are they, really supposed to navigate that market when they don't really know what's there? They don't have, as much luxury of having all the time to be able to go and see these homes. They can't fly there every single weekend for a showing. So, how does that work? And we've really been able to, with the relationships that we've made, really help people, guide them through this process so that they feel comfortable when they're making the offer on their second home, or maybe on their, new primary residence, and they feel, comfortable and reassured that this is the right decision, and, helping them get even more excited about this really exciting new time to be able to move to Florida and enjoy all the amazing benefits of being a homeowner in Florida.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it is, not necessarily year round. Some people have, with post-COVID, it's changed the whole work environment. The workforce has changed. You have the ability to work remotely, and that's changed it there, and it's changed it all throughout the country. We even see it in northern Michigan, where people spend more time at their vacation property or second home, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it allows for a lot more opportunities. I think this is the new normal, that people will be moving and traveling a lot and working in different environments. And we want to be there. We want to be ahead of the curve, make sure we're there to give you solutions to, for what's best for you and your family, and in some of the real estate opportunities for your investments too, for your portfolio.
Exactly. And Joe too, don't you have like a good amount of family, and you spent good time in the area of Sarasota and surrounding, to where you've always kind of kept a keen eye on that market?
Yeah. Starting from vacationing there, because again, a lot of, people from the Midwest end up there. We vacationed there starting when I was very little, and my wife has some really close family there. So we spent a lot of time there. We do have a residence in Florida as well as part of my real estate portfolio. And I think it is good to have some exposure to that for our customers. And I hope they have the opportunity to have some exposure to that market and see the opportunities there as well.
Exactly.
And you can do primary residence, second homes, and you've had a few transactions just in the last year or so that you've made work with some unique solutions in Florida where, might not be the most common loan products. There was one that was a construction renovation loan that you had helped out with.
Yeah, you run into some really unique situations. Something as simple as, I need this pool included, and the timing is such where I'm not going to be able to make that work right at the time of closing, but I really want to have a plan for that. We can wrap that into the transaction to make that work for the customer and all parties involved. We've run into new construction, some more complex new construction that's very expensive, and you can run into it takes longer than 9 months to build. It might take 18 months to build.
Yeah.
And a lot of banks have issues with that. So going into that, knowing what the situation is, we present it to the bank, see if this is something we can handle. And a lot of times we can have some unique creative solutions to some of these. They're sometimes just pretty simple problems, but hard to get other banks to wrap their heads around it and come up with a solution.
Exactly. And there's, the strong borrower behind it to where it's not a super high risk transaction. It will just help the borrower and the buyer in the long run, help them with the financing solution. And there's other ones where we've helped with bridge loans, where they have a lot of equity in their current home, or even, not a ton, but to where it would make sense for them, that we've helped out with bridge loans and those types of solutions where, we put people in good positions to be able to help out with primary residence, second home.
Yeah. Also, Florida has some unique condo issues. Obviously, if you follow the news, you'll see that, they had a situation where one of the buildings collapsed in the Miami area, which was just a horrible situation. And they've changed a lot of the guidelines, and it's caused a little bit of disruption in that condo world. Fannie and Freddie have, adjusted their guidelines. The state law has adjusted the Florida state laws have changed. So condo financing is getting very complex. And so it takes a unique skill set to be able to assess that. up front to see, like, is this going to be a financeable project? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But we want to make sure we're getting a clear perspective up front to see, is this going to be a problem for you? Is this something that's attainable, or is this something you should shy away from potentially?
Yeah. And the condos, that's a great point, because there's obviously a ton of different condos and structures like that in Florida. And there's also we have non-warrantable, condo solutions too that we can help out with.
So maybe it's just something simple where we review the condo documents, the budget's stable, there's not a lot of problems, there's not a lot of deferred maintenance, there's not a lot of issues, but maybe it's just one simple technicality from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's perspective that make it non-warrantable.
Yeah. Like too many not commercial units, but too many investment properties.
Yeah, too many concentrated units. Maybe it's over by one, or maybe it's something that's right on the threshold. But when we look at the whole project, it makes sense for our customer based on the down payment and what the risk level. That might be a unique situation where we can help. So just taking more common sense approach, a community bank approach to lending, we find that we have a lot of opportunities there, and we're a good fit for that market.
Absolutely.
And, when we went down and talked to realtors, we went down last year for the first time, really just to kind of see, is there a need? What, problems are realtors running into? What problems are buyers running into? How can we help? And one thing that we found was that, our portfolio options, our make sense underwriting was something that they didn't really have down there. It's a lot of brokers down there.
And a lot of brokers that do a really good job,
Yes.
I think, and have long-term good relationships. But it's that construction, the renovation, adding that layer of tools that will help. And a lot of that was, during COVID and some of the markets there, it's a lot of cash.
It's still a lot of cash.
It's still a lot of cash.
Yeah.
But eventually that probably will change a little bit. The dynamics will change. And we think we can present, this is the other thing, for our customers and for any borrower in that market that wants to pursue a home, just because it is cash doesn't mean you can't make it work with a mortgage. If you have a strong realtor partner, a strong letter, and this is where the communication is key, to communicate, hey, this is solid. This, I know we're up against cash, but this borrower should have an opportunity to present this offer, and we can back it up. And that is the difference, I think, of what we can bring to the table.
Definitely. And so then another thing, when we were talking to realtors, they kind of question, they're like, so you're Michigan based, so do you guys have an office here? And we say, we don't, but the market has really changed the past couple of years, where people don't expect you to have a brick and mortar building in the area so that they feel comfortable doing the lending. There's so many online lenders now, which we are able to offer the community banking, but not have the building there, but we can still offer, the amazing products from the community banking standpoint.
Yeah, that's changed a lot. And even years ago, it was pretty easy to do business there because they have a lot of great title companies, a lot of great referral partners, great appraisers, local appraisers, abundance of that. And so it's always been an easy state to operate in. But now it's even easier with the electronic signatures, with and most of our customers here, the brick and mortar isn't becoming as relevant.
Yeah.
A lot of the calls are Zoom calls, phone calls, weekend calls, that type of thing. So it's really, we haven't run into any issues with that, really.
And then, Maddie, you mentioned 1.2 of us being a community bank, where we've had, for instance, a few self-employed borrowers that have businesses or are looking at other businesses in Florida, where we've been able to help out on the commercial side too, not just with the residential mortgage, where the bank's willing to take a look at, helping out with commercial stuff in Florida as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely. All right, so we kind of went over, why we're in Florida, why we love Florida, and a couple of our different, lending solutions that we have for the Florida market as well. So before we start to wrap up, any other points or any other, situations that come to mind that we have really been able to step in and help with?
I think it's just really, Matt, it goes down to just bringing that extra level of service and spending the even if it's late at night, and spending the extra time with speaking with the realtor and with the customer, and making sure we're bringing representing the customer well, and making sure we're pointing out hey, did you realize this is in a flood zone? And hey, did you realize your homeowner's insurance is going to be like this, and your taxes? And it's just trying to avoid big mistakes.
Exactly.
And not get tripped up. And again, looking at things up front. Same thing we do here, just the basics of doing what's right, being transparent, doing what we say we're going to do, and the little things.
Yeah, and one other thing too that I had thought of was a recent transaction we had helped out with, where a lot of times, especially in Florida, I think it's a majority cash offers, but it was a construction loan where they didn't necessarily want to be responsible for constantly cutting checks to the builder, where financing came into place, where we have a great construction department, that handles all the draws and communicates with the builders after closing, where it was easier for the client to actually finance it because it had peace of mind knowing someone else was handling that.
It was keeping an eye on the progress and making sure the draws were appropriate with the progress of the construction. So just some controls maybe in there that just an extra layer, not that it takes all the responsibility away of the homeowner in following that, but it just was an easier way for them to monitor that process.
Exactly. And, especially if you're looking to buy a second home in Florida, we know that this process is typically going to take longer than finding your primary residence, or, we know that it may take 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, but we are going to be here every step of the way, and we're going to help you no matter how long it takes. We'll always be here to provide scenarios or, answer any of the questions that you have along the way, no matter how long it takes. So that was our Florida podcast and everything that, we have to offer in that market, because we're super excited to be down there. We really have some great resources for anyone who's looking to move to Florida, to buy to Florida, even if, maybe it's your dream, maybe it's a way down the line future thought. Don't hesitate to give us a call and start the planning now. That's where we're really able to help set you up for success, is, getting everything set for that future purchase. So thank you again for tuning in to today's episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team. If you like today's episode, please comment, give us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you, and we hope to see you next time on Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team.